All right, welcome to Better Questions Podcast. This is our first stream, our first podcast. I'm John, your host, with my co-host Matt over here. Let's just introduce yourselves. I'm John. If you guys could go around, I know we have two guests here, and some first meetings. Say your name, how old you are, what you do, where you're from. Those 4 questions. Go ahead.
I'm going to forget the questions.
Yeah, I'll remind you. Don't worry about that.
Natasha, I'm 24, and I already forgot the other questions.
Your age, where you're from, and what you do.
Okay, so I was from Santa Clarita, California, and I work in fire safety. I work for a fire safety council, a nonprofit, and I help communities become more resilient to wildfire.
And how old are you?
Oh, yeah.
I already said I'm 24.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Listen.
I forgot we're the same age. Go ahead.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm Quran. I'm 27. I'm from Chicago, and I'm a paraprofessional. So I work with kids with autism. That's what I do.
Nice. Well, I'm Matt. I'm 24, and I work in marketing.
Yeah. How old are you?
Oh, and I'm from Santa Clarita.
I'm John. I just turned 29, and I pastor, actually.
Ooh.
It's my pastor friend.
And did you guys all say where you're from? So Santa Clarita.
Santa Clarita. Yeah.
And then I'm actually from Florida. So
Ooh.
that's where I'm from.
I guess I was born in New Jersey, but I was there for like 2 years of my life, so can't really say it.
Yeah, can't claim it.
Yeah, can't claim New Jersey. I mean, that's kind of the same with me. I was in Florida till I was 10, but I've been in California most of my life.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like the origin coming from the bayou.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so the next question is, how many relationships have you guys been in?
Ooh, jumping right in. Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of jumping right in. Our topic for today, so kind of how we're going to format these is we're going to do kind of a series of one topic and just keep going guest to guest and have this conversation. But the topic that we're going to be going over is true love. And so we're going to start off with this question. You know, typically people ask that body count question. We're not going to do that, so you don't have to worry about that. Nobody has to worry about that. But how many relationships have you guys been in? And why or why not did it fail, succeed?
Wow, this is like I feel like we should start off with like chill. Yeah, no, go for it. Your podcast.
All right, so Natasha, if you want to start.
Oh no.
All right, correct. Yeah,
You're starting.
you have the honors.
I'll say I've been in one real relationship outside of the one I'm in, but I guess, you know, when you talk about relationships, I guess you could put quotes in real, because every relationship I had in high school doesn't really seem to, you know, real, as you would put it. But I would say the main reason that it failed was because I don't think that she valued me as a person. I think she valued who I was on the outside and not who I am on the inside. So, things just didn't, you know, blossom from that first, what do you call it? You know, the romance stage, you know, the honeymoon stage, you'll put it. So, I also consider that relationship as more of like two roommates living together with like a little romance stage to it. So that's really what it felt like to me. So I'll say one relationship outside of the one I'm in now.
How long was that?
2.5 years.
Oh wow.
Oh, it's a good amount of time.
That's good.
That's a
was a
decent
while.
amount of time.
That's a solid
It
relationship.
was a while. Yeah. So that was a nightmare. So that's why I'm here to talk about
I'm
it.
glad
I'm
you're
here to
here.
talk about it.
Little twist. Did it turn into a nightmare, or was it kind of like a prolonged nightmare?
I think it turned into a nightmare only because I realized that I ignored a lot of the red flags that I should have, you know, took account of. And I was also ignoring just crossing that bridge of like just breaking it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people stay in a lot of relationships just because it's convenient or it's casual or it's security. You know,
You don't want to be alone.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to be alone. Also, I was living in Santa Barbara. Rent was like $400 at the time.
Wait, so this is
You
your
needed
first
the help,
relationship?
sort of idea.
Yeah.
How old
First
were
legit
you?
relationship. Yeah.
And it was in high school.
No.
Oh,
No.
wait.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, got it.
Yeah, like
I
college.
see.
Freshman year of college.
Freshman
Yeah.
year.
Okay.
So you were
Yeah.
like only 18, 17,
Yeah,
18?
exactly.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
I was, and mind you, coming from Chicago, just moving to California.
Yeah.
I was by myself a lot. Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
moving's hard. You get lonely,
Mhm.
so it's sometimes you seek a relationship.
And she was your support, your like support system. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah. So yeah, that's I anchored onto that a lot and didn't really pay attention to the things that really mattered. So lessons learned,
I see.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you,
that's typical 17-year-old. Like
Yeah.
it's, you can't be hard on yourself for that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes
I would
sense.
say
makes
so.
sense.
Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, how about you,
Should I go?
Natasha?
Oh, about me? Oh God. So
You're
actually, I was like talking to my coworker today, and I told her I'm gonna be in this podcast, and I was like, I have no clue why I'm on this podcast because like I just oh God, I feel like I've truthfully never been in. I've only been in situationships.
I
Yeah,
see.
only
Yeah.
been in situationships, and to me that made me feel. I had a conversation with you about love, just like theoretically type of style.
Did you already talk to her?
I
about
know. I
this?
should have. I know.
She knows. That's not
Well,
fair.
no. She doesn't know.
I saved it.
What do you mean?
I
What am I
saved
supposed to
it.
know?
for
She
this
doesn't.
guy.
She doesn't know. It was really.
All right.
So,
Go ahead.
okay.
Get out. Get out.
What am I doing here?
We're swapping.
Icebreaker.
We're
Okay,
swapping,
Yeah,
guys.
look, contextually, we did dive into a little bit of it.
Okay.
That's
saved
what I
But-
mean, like,
That's all-
I know, but still, even then, I also think like, cause yeah, when we talked, I think we got to the point where it was like much more of a conversation, and then you sent me that video where like there was this two people on a park bench and they were just talking,
Love them.
on that, and like that's what this is, and that's why I thought it would be fruitful for Natasha to like jump on, is because like I'll be honest, when I chatted with her, I don't think we like got into like stuff like pretty quickly, and like you know what I mean, but I think the format that we have here is very conversational, and I think like I think you mentioned it earlier, like I think you mentioned you're not normally like louder, I would say,
Yeah.
but then like with me and John, and then Natasha, I actually convinced her to leave nursing school.
Yo, why are you
Oh
putting
my
that
God.
out there?
Sorry, I'm just trying to put the context out that
He's trying to
like
give himself clout right
we
now.
are. I am.
He's
I
like,
am,
by the
I
way,
am,
I like
I
changed
am.
her whole career. I had a huge impact on her.
I,
Oh my God.
that
For
too.
no reason.
Yeah.
I'm
No
not.
context.
I'm not gonna lie.
Trying
That
to
is
give himself
true.
credibility.
That is-
I know.
Things you'll say.
I won't deny any of that. But
Just throwing
anyways,
it out there.
yeah. But anyway, that's the point. Is like I thought it would be a fruitful conversation because the format is so conversational, and like already it feels different from any podcast I've done before,
For sure.
where it like really is just conversational, and like it's about exploring more and asking the better questions. So, but yeah, go ahead. Didn't mean to cut you off.
You're
Like,
all good, you're all
there's
good.
no spoilers here. Still think it's fruitful,
Yeah, I have
but
no
go
clue
ahead.
what
Just
to
glad.
expect from
Yeah,
this.
No worries.
Yeah,
All
go
right,
ahead.
so
But when
ahead.
Matt called me, he just was like, "Oh, I think you should be on the podcast," and I was like, "Okay." Like I didn't really think much about it until you had that first question. I was like, "Ooh, this is the question I was nervous about." But then my coworker just told me, even though you're not like where you want to be in your life in terms of love, it takes two people to love, and like maybe you've always loved really deeply because I have always loved deeply. So it doesn't mean I don't have anything to say about it. The reason why the situationships haven't worked out, I think in the very beginning I think like this is probably family stuff, but I was really hesitant to be in any sort of relationship. I feel like it's like a very scary thing to me.
sorry to cut you off, but
Mhm.
just to clarify, because I keep hearing this, and I feel like there's different definitions. How would you define a situationship?
Ooh.
What makes it a situationship?
I don't like that question. I mean, truthfully, I think if I was to have a real relationship, I wouldn't even think of any of the relationships I've been in as a situationship. It was more of like the way I felt. I think if you feel like you put in a lot of work for this person, and if you feel like your feelings got attached and it was more than friendship, I don't think if you want to call it a situationship, you're allowed to call it a situationship. If it affected you deeply enough and when it broke off, it affected you like a heartbreak, then why not call it a situationship?
Yeah.
If you need to.
Yeah.
But if you want to call it like a thing, a fling, whatever, you can call it that. But I do separate like my flings versus situationships. Like situationships to me, I guess, are, to put it simply, like emotional attachment.
So it's kind of
yeah.
like the official, non-official sort of thing. Like you guys feel like you're in a relationship, but you're not.
Yeah, or maybe
There's no
one
title
person
yet
feels
or
like they
anything
are,
like
and
that,
the other
yeah.
person never got clarity on that.
Yeah.
And like I think it's like a super nerve-wracking. Like I can have vulnerable conversations with friends. When I like someone, no.
Yeah.
I will hide my feelings.
Yeah.
Do you
So, yeah.
do you think in a situationship, one person knows that they're in a situationship and one person doesn't? You get what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Like,
Ooh.
do you
Yeah,
think that a situationship, both
Man.
people think that they're in one, or is it actually like one person's in the situation? You like,
I hear what you're
because
saying.
I've thought about that. You know,
Yeah.
like the idea of like, I'll call stuff a
I think so.
situationship. You know,
Mm.
Right
but
off
then,
the get. Yeah.
but is it? You know, I don't know. Like, what do you?
I
what do you
think
guys
like
think?
I heard this when I took an acting class a long time ago. They said a lot of acting is between the lines, and I think sometimes a lot of conversations are between the lines. Like you don't really know. It's like in between the spaces. So I think it's like I think some people have admitted that they led me on. So in that sense, I was like, okay, yeah. So but I also wasn't fully invested. I wasn't ready yet for a relationship. So yeah, I think like one person might know a bit more, feel it a bit more, but that's why you have to have better communication, ask better questions.
Yeah. Just to piggyback on that, I feel like the most common situations are where one person understands they're in a situationship and one person is hoping that the situation turns into a actual relationship.
else.
That's a true
And that's
one
why
too.
they stay
Like,
around,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
tolerating things or tolerating a situation that's not ideal for them. So,
Like
yeah.
a mismatch of
Ooh.
expectations.
Or if like
Yeah.
they're avoiding defining the relationship and you're trying to, that's then that just get out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I heard this thing where it's like there's always the dynamic in a relationship where one is like likes one more than the other. So one is the one chasing and one is the one accepting.
Yeah, I feel like
And
it's the
there's nothing wrong
same
with
thing. Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like it's the same thing.
And I think that's the
like-
same thing with the situations.
Yeah,
you know?
I've done. I feel like I've played both roles,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
now know I never want to chase ever.
Yeah.
It's
But I
not gonna
feel
be
like
me.
Okay,
that's
do you think
kind of the same thing with like people being afraid to say I love you first? You know what
Ooh.
I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
That's like something that I learned. I think pretty honestly, unfortunately, recently is that I'm like so embarrassed to love. Like
Yeah.
it sucks because like love is such a human trait, and it's like the most basic thing that we really desperately need. But I feel like our culture kind of shames it, and
Ooh, we'll get
oh okay, we're gonna get
We're
spicy.
gonna
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to let go of that initial feeling because I can never actually properly express it if I don't get over my embarrassment over it, you
Yeah.
know, or my
Yeah.
own cringe over it.
100%.
I don't really get into this, but just initial reaction. Do you think it's better for the guy or the girl to be the chaser?
I think it's better for the guy to be a chaser. Yeah. I think like experience has showed me that, and I think it's
agree.
just like I think it's a little bit of nature versus nurture there. So I think it's a little bit. If a guy's invested in you, he will chase you. Like I heard this. Like you will never see a guy with an ugly girl, but you'll see a girl with an ugly guy.
Yeah.
And you just agreed
Yeah.
to that. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think it's because like women have like capacity to love in a way where you can get used to someone and then learn to love them a
You sure
lot.
you didn't tell her?
We actually didn't talk about
I
this.
know.
We didn't talk about this.
Continue. No, I like what you're saying, but I was like, wait, okay.
That's what I'm saying. She's a great. I've actually
I know.
a great girl.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Oh, thank you.
And
My
this is our first time
podcast,
meeting.
y'all.
Yeah, so very nice to meet you. I really like
Oh,
what
yeah.
you're saying, but continue.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I forgot what I was saying. Like, let's do it. What was your question again?
Oh yeah, just continue your story because I asked you how do you define situationship? So I kind of derailed you from your story to the original question, which was, how many relationships you've been in and why do you think those failed?
Yeah. I think so. One of it is me being like, nervous about loving and feeling embarrassment about that.
Mm-hmm.
2 is learning about men because men are so different from women. And I think I did the mistake of believing that they would be like me. And that was a huge learning lesson for me because I never had like that many men around me growing up, like male role models to like look up to and be like, oh, this is what a man is like.
Yeah.
I had a lot of girlfriends though.
Yeah.
And so I think I totally mistook what a man needs in a relationship versus what a woman needs in a relationship. And that, huge learning curve for me. And the chasing thing too. So that was big. I think I was only looking for safety in relationships. And so as long as someone was safe, I was like, okay, this is good. But then I forgot that people can change, pivot, show me different things. I'm really proud of myself because I've always left. Well, before, I always left when things went bad.
Yeah.
Or if someone showed me something that felt unsafe to me. And then I started feeling like this pressure to be in a relationship because I'm like 24 now. And all my family, like the women
True.
have all been married by 21
We were
Yeah.
just talking about
or
That's
younger.
crazy. That's crazy.
And so there's like this huge pressure, and I was thinking to myself like, oh, am I leaving guys too soon? Like, am I the one that should have given them more chances? And then I learned, no, I should always leave if someone shows me something
Yeah.
it's either I'm gonna leave or the universe is gonna make them leave before I feel ready. So yeah
Nice.
yeah mm-hmm.
Good answer. I like that.
All right, next question.
Wait, but don't you two have to answer this question?
We can.
We can.
But what
We
do you wanna
can. It's our podcast, so we don't have to. We could put everybody else on the spot.
Us in the hot seat,
Yeah, not our
and then
own,
avoid
right?
any
Hey, you don't know.
vulnerability.
We could have our
Every time.
own video and we talk about our
Yeah,
story.
yeah, we're in
I'll,
it.
You know.
what do you call it? I'll indulge them. How about that?
All right,
That
fine.
way, but I'll
Yeah.
keep it brief. I'll
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
it brief.
keep it
You
brief,
know,
yeah.
because we do have other questions to get to. But
And we're gonna do like an
Yeah.
intro video,
Yeah.
like talk about ourselves. So.
Are you gonna have
That's
like an
true.
intro jingle? I love it when
We
I
do.
hear that.
we have that stuff. Like we're working out the audience stuff. We have intro jingle. We have like
Everything.
lobby screen. We got this setup going.
Ooh.
So
You should put that recording right before you have the intro jingle.
oh, I also recorded like like it was going like when we were just like laughing.
Oh,
You know,
seriously?
Yeah.
So some like B-roll
Oh,
sort of thing.
good luck with your editing. That's gonna be a lot of.
There's gonna be no
editing.
I'll be the one editing.
There's like no
Yeah.
editing, really,
Yeah.
to be honest. But
A good edited podcast is a good podcast.
Yeah. Mhm. I think
Editing
that-
is
yeah.
like majority of it.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Do you want to go?
sure.
Go ahead.
I would say 2 serious relationships. One ended recently, and one was my high school relationship, and that was 3.5, almost 4 years. So that was from like my, I think, end of sophomore / junior year to like end of freshman / early, sophomore year of college. So that was like 4 years, almost 4 years, and that stemmed from like, you know, the end of like an era to like the beginning of, you know, college.
Yeah.
That failed, I think, in terms of like if I'm being fully accountable, like I think that failed because I just let myself fall off, you know, like
Yeah.
I think the person that I think to some extent there's an obligation to like continue like romancing your partner, and I think
For
that
sure.
that definitely fell off, and
sure.
I let myself, you know, completely just focus on her, and I lost sight on a lot of my like ambition, and I think that's just, you know, I mean, if I was a girl, I would not be attracted to that, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, like
Yeah.
a guy hanging on your every kind of like move.
Mm.
So yeah, I would say that was the biggest thing. I didn't know how to be independent. And then the second one was recently I broke up with her. And it's just, I think at that point I didn't, I don't think, from what I could see in the relationship, I don't think that it was going in a direction that I wanted. And I don't think that, you know, it would have been fair to stay in a relationship where like I was half in and half out.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's pretty much it. Those 2 major ones. Everything else I would consider a situationship or
Yeah.
you know, a fling.
Well, since you went, I guess I have to. So, I've had 4 relationships. The first one was like freshman year of high school. It was like my very first relationship. I was definitely the chaser. It was like a situationship for like a year and a half until it was like a month-long relationship. And that's like a whole story, but I was definitely very naive. I got hurt. I got cheated on. I was very naive. So that's definitely why I failed. Like that was me giving like all myself to somebody and like chasing after. They could do no wrong. And I saw, like you were saying, like I saw no signs and all that kind of stuff. And I was a chaser. That was the first one. The second one, she was a lot more mature than I was. Like she was a year older than me. I was kind of just the guy, you know, learning where I was in the dating marketplace kind of thing. She was leaving for college, and like I just wasn't mature enough for the relationship. Like out of like my girlfriends asked me that question, is if there was one girlfriend like, you know, like that you would give a shot. And I was like, oh yeah, I would know that right away, because I was definitely the one who messed that up. So that was the second one. The third one, she was definitely the chaser in this situation. Definitely not a situationship. We were together for, I believe, like 8 to 10 months, something like that. But it was all like very like physical relationship, and there was no like trust. There's no like real relationship there, that sort of thing. And so it just kind of fell apart when I moved away to college, sort of thing. My last relationship was 5 years actually.
Oh.
we got really close to like getting married and all that stuff. I knew the family, she knew my family, and like we're keeping it brief, but I was kind of in a situation with you, like kind of both.
You guys were in a situation?
Yeah, us together. Yeah.
Together for
That's
knew
why
it.
he's here
I
today.
knew
That's why I'm
it.
here. Yeah. That's actually why. So it's a big moment for us. Yeah. But yeah, we were together 5 years. We almost got married. Yeah, I guess I didn't really see any sort of problems. She was definitely the chaser, and it's not till like in hindsight I realized like a lot of the problems there, and I just feel like as close as we got to like security, like, and that was also the situation, is I had full security, my life would have been made. She was doing medical, so I would have been good, like income wise, security wise, and there was not really like big problems, but I just don't think I ever reached true love, which is something like I wasn't willing to compromise on, and this isn't someone I felt I had the capacity to get there with.
Okay.
And so even if we got married and all that stuff, I don't think it would have been, and I think she would agree as well, but without getting too much in the story, yeah, that's pretty much it. And now I'm in a 3-year relationship currently.
Beautiful.
So, and we are going to get married within like the next month, so
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
thank you.
We'll be
Appreciate
there.
that. All right, now on to you guys.
Wait,
All
but first, before we go into the next
Yeah,
topic,
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I
okay,
definitely
what?
want to
All
give
right,
my
what
answer.
now? What now?
On the question of should it be a woman or a man should be the chaser? I feel like throughout time, I feel like throughout time, you know, it's been a custom that men go hang out and date multiple women at one time. I feel like to combat that, I feel like the men should be the chaser, you know, and just slow down everything, you know. I feel like not insecurities, but the reassurance that a lot of women need and ask for a lot of times, I feel like that will be fulfilled with the man being the chaser, like putting in the extra 10% to like take them out, or you know what I mean, making sure that they're happy. So yeah. I just wanted to put that in there. For the
Men also feel like better when they are the ones that chase, because like even in your story you said like repeatedly she was the chaser, she was the chaser. It didn't like seem like it felt good.
Hey,
But-
who's analyzing who?
Oh wait, is
go
this supposed to be a podcast where you guys analyze me?
Just kidding. I was kidding. Yeah.
But your story is kind of like
I think you're correct. Yes.
all of them kind of just remind me of like, I think it just shows that some women also mature like faster, and so I feel like a lot of the guys that I've been with were noticeably like less mature than me. So
Dang, that sucks. It happened.
ooh.
Well, you know, we could put an animation into this dead spot because it's technically still recording, so we could just put an animation, right? All right, nice. Go ahead.
In 3, 2, 1. Okay, go ahead. Go back.
Oh, you guys, I'm so bad at like remembering what I
I know. I don't know
what I
why
talk about.
it cuts off like that. I apologize,
All good.
everybody. But yeah, back to the chasing thing. Why you think guys should be the chasers to girls?
I'll come back to this.
Yeah. No, but I agree. I think I think both of you were in favor of the guy being the chaser, and I definitely agree with that. I think there's this idea that, or sort of theory I have, I think girls are okay with the one guy if he has all the qualities. Because I've seen multiple relationships, and I have a close friend who, he had a girl where, like, lack of a better term, they were just cheating. And she was, like, in a married relationship. And
Oh my god.
like, he's the security, he's a big cuddly guy and all that stuff, and then my other guy's kind of like the F-boy, like blah blah blah.
Wait. So there's a girl who's in a relationship and
Who's,
she's
like, married,
She's married,
pretty much married,
and
yeah.
she's married to the cuddly guy,
Yeah, she's married to the cuddly guy,
and you know the other guy,
and I know the other guy.
and you know all three of these people.
I don't know all three of these people.
You just know the other
but
guy.
I know the other guy.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's just so awful hearing about it, because like he's like showing me her Instagram and the family photos and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my god.
And then like
I have like no tolerance for cheating.
yeah, and like
That's rough.
in this situation, like he was feeling led on, like, oh, why isn't he leaving her? Like he's not nothing like me. Like he doesn't work out like I do and all that kind of stuff.
You mean, why isn't she leaving him?
Why isn't she leaving him?
Yeah.
The other guy, exactly. And I was just saying, it's because she's trying to make one boyfriend out of two of you. It's because they're both missing a quality.
Yeah.
but she's gonna make one guy out of two.
He's combining.
And so I think
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I think girls would be willing to accept one guy if he's willing to be all those qualities and work on himself to be all those qualities. But a guy will be okay with, the variety anyways.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I
For
think that's
sure.
why the guy, I think, should be the chaser. So, because I think once he stops chasing, he stops trying to improve to be those. I think when guys are in that chasing stage, they'll be everything the girl wants.
Yeah.
They'll have ambition,
so true.
they'll strive.
Yeah.
I feel that in myself,
Yeah.
And I think if the guy isn't chasing the girl and he gets bored, he's just going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But if the guy is chasing the girl, he will strive to be all those qualities. Because once the guy's comfortable, he doesn't try to change the things he's noticing that she's not looking at him for.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, where were you 2 years ago? Can we be friends? Can we like rewind?
Well, once again, welcome to Better Questions.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's the
What-
same
what's your
thing
take
Matt
on
was
it?
saying. Yeah.
What was that?
No, that's the same thing you were saying. Like, where you got to a certain point, you stop having self motivation and everything. Yeah. I feel like the same thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, that definitely displays it. I mean, it's because, like, I thought I had that comfort, and so, like, I stopped with the ambition, and, but yeah, and I think that's the important part, too, in a relationship, too, is that you continue to try, continue to put that effort in, the romance, but, no, I mean, yeah, that perfectly describes kind of, like, what I saw myself kind of go through in that first relationship, and then also in relationships after that, I kind of I think I learned a little bit from that, and I was like, okay, I need to continue putting effort in, and that's part of the, I think that's part of the commitment is that you recognize that, it's a continuous push on my end. But, yeah.
I truly believe, also, women love harder than men on average. I truly believe. I also think.
I feel it.
Okay, no,
but then again, I'm really
just
emotional.
from the
though.
relationships I've seen, and I think that's why you guys asked me to come on here, give my opinion. But also, when a woman cheats, they cheat emotionally first instead of they build a relationship with the guy and then they step out with him. But I feel like a
guys are
guy,
more physical.
yeah,
than that,
and I feel like that's another reason a man should be a chaser too. It's there's a lot of steps I feel like on average to get a woman there to infidelity.
I see.
All right. Do you guys think in any of those relationships you had, you ever experienced true love?
No.
Ooh, no.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow, that was quick.
Wow, that was
No.
I was like, wow.
That was quick.
Wow.
I feel like
Yeah,
I
I like that.
I was a little bit
That's quick.
But in the one you currently have now, what'd you say?
Ooh, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Beautiful.
I'm gonna say, baby, I know you watching this. So I love you. To that.
Good job. Good job.
Approval.
I
Yeah.
can tell you chased her probably.
Yeah. Oh, well, if we want to explain the situation, we can. She was my boss.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's a
was
good
her
question.
worker.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
was definitely the
Whoa.
chaser.
She's the boss.
Yeah.
This should be the title of your podcast.
Wow,
She
that's
was my
great.
boss. I chased her.
But yeah, no, I don't think, but to begin this conversation, I don't know you guys' past history or whatever. I've only seen one successful marriage in my life, just growing up my 27 years. So
Yeah.
my definition of what true love would be might be different from you guys's, but yeah, I definitely say, I have it not.
Outside of the one you're in now.
No, I say the one I'm in now is the only.
Yeah,
It's
right.
the
Yeah, that's what I'm
closest.
saying. Outside of
yeah.
that,
Outside of
you've
that
never
one.
experienced
Yeah.
true love. You got it. You're good. All right, what
Yeah,
about you?
not trying to get in trouble.
Yeah, I think I loved it really deeply.
Mhm.
I seriously loved very deeply, but I don't think I ever got true love. Yeah, no, wouldn't say so.
All right, so I'm just gonna get right into it. What do you guys?
Wait, but what about you two?
Ah,
Stop doing this.
Okay.
It's a conversation.
all right.
I told you that. I told you it makes sense.
Okay, well, like Quran, no, absolutely not. Except for the one I'm in currently right now, which I definitely can say, especially with what we're gonna talk about. What is true love? That's what we're gonna get into. I'd say, without a doubt, yes, I have true love, and I have it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I would say no. I have not experienced true love.
Cheers, bro.
Yeah,
Cheers,
no.
cheers.
We both can.
You guys could choose each other though.
Yeah. No, I've not experienced true love.
To having true love. Let's
To having
go.
true love,
Let's
guys.
go.
Yeah, but no true love experienced. And I would say, yeah, there's maybe been one instance where I felt that I had the capacity to get there, but it did not happen.
Yeah, capacity-wise, I think I had one experience that I felt. At the same time, I think we were just too young.
See,
Probably
and that's
not.
what I was gonna ask you guys. Do you think true love is circumstantial? Like, do you think you have to like?
You're getting
go
ahead.
through- Okay,
You're
okay.
getting
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
Just
sorry.
wait for
He
this
has
next
a
question.
layout.
Just wait for this.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
See, it all flows. It all works. It all works. That's why I like. It's the better question.
I like that you have a layout for this.
Yeah,
That's actually
thank
making
you.
me really happy because
Yeah.
he would
You're
not have a
welcome.
layout. I know that for sure. I know it's you. He would just be like, let's fuck it, let's just do it. Am I right?
I have a sheet. I was just thinking about what is the proper list of questions in the rundown. He's like, all right, I think they're all good.
Yeah,
But
sounds
see,
like
people
him.
go where they want to go, you know?
No, there
so
should
sorry.
still be.
Yeah, I like
structure
him.
with
He's
with
doing this
ability
good.
I don't know.
To have some,
It allows the
Flexibility.
audience to
Yeah,
move
yeah.
with you.
we have
in
a
journey.
direction.
Okay,
is the
next
important
question.
part.
My bad, I'm so sorry.
Since you want to...
All right, okay.
Go ahead, next question.
All right, the next question is, what is true love?
So heavy, guys. I told Matt before this, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I feel like this is going to be a tough conversation for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can start with just like, because I think,
answer that.
yeah.
Ooh, yeah,
well, also
go
too,
for
the
it.
question is just like, what's your definition of true love?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what is true
Yeah.
love
To you.
And if
Right,
you think
like
it
to-
exists,
yeah, go ahead.
then how would you define it?
Yeah, just definition. Let's keep. Yeah, just definition.
Me personally, I don't think I've ever had a definition of what true love is, but seeing the things that me and my girlfriend go through and how I, am a resilient and how quick I am to compromise, I feel like that's kind of the first steps to what true love is. There's never been a situation where I've looked at her like, oh, I can be with somebody else can make me happier,
That's cute.
Yeah, and I feel like, like I said, I've only seen one successful marriage, so to my definition, I feel like I'm with my true love right now.
Oh.
So yeah.
Oh.
Wait, so
That's cute.
remind me,
That's too
what
cute.
is the definition? Or is the definition the example you have?
The definition is his relationship.
Is his
It
relationship?
just,
Yeah.
it's
Well, I think
only,
he included.
no, I was kidding.
He
but-
included.
but
They're
yeah,
speaking
you're right,
for
you're
me.
right.
Yeah.
But
He
if
can talk for himself.
I was totally joking.
I know you met today.
if we were to break it down, though, you mentioned resiliency,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
What did you mean by that?
Resilient. Just unwavering understanding, I would say.
Understanding
Yeah,
resiliency.
understanding like we both had histories, we both came from certain two different types of places, two different upbringings and everything. So I would definitely, say whenever there's a consequence that needs to be, crossovers, there's no question, like, we're going to get through this. You know what I mean? Me and her.
I see.
So
I'm
yeah.
literally gonna cry. This is so
Oh.
sweet.
I'm so sorry. I'm not, like I said, I'm not the best public speaker, but
This,
my
no,
baby,
this is so
I definitely
good.
talk about
You
it.
just cured my hopelessness, probably.
She has hope for the university.
Yeah, I have hope because of you. Thank
Yeah.
you. You and your
Thank you,
relationship.
Corinne.
Hey, look,
Thank
this is
you.
what we're
Thank you,
here
thank
for. Better
you.
questions.
Yeah.
Better.
Better questions.
We can end the podcast.
Better
now,
was-
probably.
We're good now. All right.
So is resiliency? What was the other part
Consistency.
of it?
Consistency, resiliency, understanding.
Yeah.
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 I see.
All right.
I'll say the top three.
Nice.
Okay, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Break down. What do you think?
Ooh,
What's involved?
breakdown.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a tough one for me. To be honest, I think I didn't believe in it too much at all. I think there was like a companionship is what I looked for, someone to just like live life with. But true love, I honestly am working on like raising my own standards because I think my standards was really minimal. I think I never really saw a healthy marriage before.
Yeah.
So I think I'm like trying to notice healthy relationships now. But yeah, I think when I think of true love, the first thing that comes up to my mind is like the fake stuff that's on like Disney princesses or something,
Most
like
definitely.
some guy in a flamboyant outfit going like, Juliet,
Singing at the
whatever,
window.
Well, that's
Um,
actually the conclusion we came to, actually.
Really?
Huh?
It's exactly that, Disney and
Really?
Fairy tale, yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, hey,
I was
Nothing
like,
like
what?
I'm just kidding. Discussion about this whole
This
whole
podcast is
setup
to-
to just
Watch
say that Disney
Disney.
is
That's what
correct.
love is
Disney is
like.
right.
Sponsored by Disney.
Yeah. No. But continue.
But I think like now I'm trying to, like power of manifestation and law of attraction. I'm like, let me believe it's true, then maybe I'll see it. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I think my standards are now very much like they've always been good values, you know, our values aligned. I'm really happy about that. Like I've never been too superficial about it. But yeah, I think I'm still developing my own definition.
Where does that land you though? Like in terms of like, just like off the top of your head, if you just had to think quickly of like, because you mentioned that you were picking up on different things that you liked, right? Or the things that you were developing your like standard. So like, have you come to a conclusion of like, in your sense, like, oh, I've seen that. I think this is at least a standard for me. You know what I mean? Like, have you come to some conclusions of like, at least for me, that's a standard I would like?
Not really, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I feel like, because like I think the only relationship that I look towards is my sister and her fiance's relationship. It's so good, but it's so different from any relationship that I feel like I've seen / I would really want to, because they have a lot of independent time to on each other on their own, which I think is so good. I think I'd want that in a relationship.
Yeah. What else would you like about? Now I'm kind of curious. Like, what are you looking at in their relationship and like,
I like
recognizing that you think is cool?
I think my sister is similar to me. Actually, I don't want to put her on blast. Or
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but she's similar to me in the sense that I think she was also hiding a lot of. She was keeping that life really private. So I didn't really see it. I didn't really witness the relationship. But only recently, when I've had like my own problems, we started talking a bit more about it. And I didn't realize like they were so open with each other, and he would be so good about conflict. I think that's like good conflict resolution, maybe.
Conflict
like,
resolution, yeah. That's one
but
you can pull from it. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I can pull from it. Good communication is great too.
Nice.
And then I don't know. I think safety is just really important. Like I want to feel safe enough to be able to tell you what's on my mind, and not feel like I have to hide it, and not feel like you're gonna, emotionally shut down or get angry at me. Like those are things that I think.
Yeah.
I know it's so bare minimum right now, but
No, I don't think it's bare minimum.
I don't think it's bare minimum.
I don't think so. I think if we like break a lot of those things down, people will say like, oh, it's bare minimum, but how many people are actually meeting that quote unquote what people are calling
that
bare
criteria.
minimum? I don't know. I mean, like even in my workplace, like not my current workplace, but like in old workplaces, different things like, you might have coworkers or bosses that like, I don't know, like when you tell them the truth, you suddenly get punished, and it's like
that's accountability.
And it's like the idea of like if there's that, and I've encountered so many of those people, through coworkers, through school. So I would wonder, if that's what I'm seeing on a daily basis, how can we call it the bare minimum when it doesn't seem like many people are meeting some of these bare minimum requirements?
Yeah.
They have standards, but they
so,
don't meet those standards.
Yeah. And so I think it's actually fair to say like those are high standards that you're setting,
Appreciate that. Yeah. I think, that's why for a while I was like, do I have too high standards? Because I think my standards were meeting someone that has like my own values. And that was really hard to meet at first. Because I am very honest. I have a super huge moral compass that I'm trying to like lessen. Yeah. But I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know the answer. To be honest. Yeah.
I know. I mean, I think you gave a few like good things that you were observing, and I think that's a good baseline. Is like, well, what are you seeing in others that you think is like a good direction for you, or like a good direction of your idea of love? And like, and Quran's is coming from his current relationship. He's seeing a lot of things that he would identify, and from you, like you've seen from your sister and her husband now, fiance. Nice. Okay, yeah. But it's cool because you can now see where everybody's kind of like pulling from and what their themes are. But
true.
Yeah. No, I like all those resiliency, understanding, consistency, all those sort of things. But now let me ask you guys: first off, can you just feel true love?
I would say yes.
Ooh.
I would say yes. Because like I said, I've seen a lot of people who leave at the first sign of trouble or the first sign of, a mutual bad situation. Doesn't have to be like this person doesn't give me what I'm asking for. It can be like, all right, we're late on rent. couple months at a time, I'm gonna leave because this isn't a secure situation. But in the situation I'm in now, like I said, there's never been a time, we've had an unexpected bill or accident or anything, and I didn't think she was there, So I feel like that's the biggest, like, security blanket you can ask for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, doesn't that argue the other way, though? Is that even when you're not feeling it, it's still true love.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're angry at the person, or if you're fighting, or if you don't even feel it in that moment, right?
Yeah.
So it can't just be a feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like, to all the things you guys just mentioned, like consistency, like I would throw care in there. You got to care for the person. Yeah. What was the other one? Resiliency, all those kind of things. Can you have those and not have true love?
Yeah.
Like you said, you were looking for security,
like friendship
right?
and stuff. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah,
I think
like
so.
you could
Because
seek...
then I would have never experienced love. And I've definitely experienced love, just not romantic love like we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think I have beautiful love with my friends and some family. Yeah.
So, like, it could be a lot of those things, but still not be true love. Like, you could have a lot of feelings for someone and still not be true love.
Yeah.
You could have a lot of care for someone and still not be true love.
For sure.
Because then you would just call that, like, let's say, like not even just Disney movies, but like those rated R like kind of movies. Like, it's very like fast growing love, and then it fizzles out just as fast.
Oh my gosh.
And it becomes very toxic very quickly. All that kind of thing. Like, I would just call that passion.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that true love.
Yeah.
It would just be infatuation.
Yeah.
And just that romantic part just reached its end goal. But did they have trust for each other? Because it wouldn't have fallen apart if they had real trust.
Yeah.
If they had real security, they wouldn't
So
have just
true.
left.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So all these things are part of love,
Yeah.
but not necessarily it itself. And so to the better questions of what me and Matt have been talking about, and to the topic today, what is true love? Our definition is love is a recipe. It's a recipe of all those things you guys just mentioned, but without some of those things you mentioned, it can't be love.
Okay.
For example, I like to use this example. You guys know Uncle Roger?
Oh my God, yeah.
I love Uncle Roger.
He's so sweet.
The chef guy?
Yeah. The cooking
wait,
guy.
the chef? Hold on. I'm so confused. I'm genuinely confused.
He's not a chef.
Roger
He's not.
was
I don't
the,
think you would call him Chef Roger. I don't think.
I
He
thought he
makes
was
fried
the guy
rice.
who
I
was
don't
like, it's a beautiful.
Then that would mean every Asian is a chef.
No, yeah.
Just because.
Wait, are we not talking about the neighborhood guy? Like, it's a
train.
beautiful day in the neighborhood.
No, I'm talking about the Asian dude.
Yeah, I know you.
Oh,
I have no
we're
idea
talking
who
about
that is.
If you guys have
different-
no idea,
No.
anyways, I'm not trying to
Different
promote his
thing.
thing, but
Yeah,
he does like a string of videos watching people how they make fried rice, and he'll critique that's wrong, that's not traditional, all that kind of stuff, and he's like a comedian. That's his comedy shtick, where he like says in a very Asian stereotypical voice. He like dresses a certain way, and there's this one example where he makes fun of Jamie Oliver, who's making ramen, right? But he doesn't use ramen noodles. He uses like buckwheat noodles. He doesn't use like certain ingredients that should be in there, and he just thinks he could just replace it. Well, once you start replacing the things, it's no longer that thing anymore, right?
I like that.
Like, for example, I made chicken adobo last night.
Nice.
I can make it again.
I'll be coming over here again.
I can make it again.
Yeah.
I could use that, I had an idea. Actually, that was an idea I had, is why don't I make it and then like show
It
it.
could be like a mukbang.
Yeah. Like, as we're like, that'd be a
That'd be
part.
fun.
As like a visual. We were just setting up, so I didn't have time. But in the future, I will make
Oh
the
yeah,
adobo.
reinvite me
Just
during
to
that
reinforce
time.
the example. But in chicken adobo, at least, because I'm Filipino, by the way, can speak about like what the recipe is. Like, you'll have a ton of variations of it, right? But there's certain core things that can't not be there, and it still be chicken adobo, right? For example, you got to have the chicken. Maybe like some people do pork or a different kind of protein. Sure. Beef, doesn't matter. Like, you could swap out the protein maybe, like certain kinds, but there needs to be vinegar. Maybe it's apple cider vinegar. Maybe it's white distilled vinegar. Maybe it's, whatever vinegar you use. But that element has to be there. You can't just swap it with, let's say, like, I don't know.
Ketchup.
Ketchup. Yeah. It's like that SpongeBob episode where he's trying to make a sundae, and then he instead of peanuts, he gets a peanut plant, and then he gets like dirt and all this kind of stuff, and then he calls it a sundae. But in the same way, like chicken adobo, you need like all these ingredients, and there could be variations, and there could be add-ons, but there's certain things that you take out, and it's no longer that thing.
For sure.
And so, for example, can you have love without trust?
Oh, you asked
Well,
me
hold
this.
on. But,
Yeah, you see it?
Hold on, just to ask you a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Ooh.
If
Turn it around,
if that,
You saw what the point I was making.
no,
right?
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But I feel like for that theory to be correct, wouldn't the definition of love have to be generalized?
No, well, I'm asking you guys mentioned a couple ingredients,
Yeah.
and that's why it's a better question. Is what do you think is that recipe?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go.
I'm really cold. Would it ruin your aesthetic if I wore that blanket?
Go ahead. Which one? Do
Really?
you want the cow print one, or would you like
Whichever
the?
aesthetic you
the-
think would be
the
best for your
animal print.
podcast.
Well,
I think I like animals the most.
she said she liked the animals.
The red one is
So
cuter.
you could grab
yeah.
the red one.
It's like it's like kind of Christmas season still. It's cold. Thank you.
Yep, we're hospitable here. Yeah. So does it have to be generalized? I mean, in the same way, every Filipino has grown up with a chicken adobo that they know, and it's different.
Right.
Like the chicken adobo I make is different from the other families. I've seen multiple Filipino communities, and they'll all make it entirely different.
Yeah.
Some will be like more saucy. Some will be more like sticky. Some will be more like almost like a soup kind of thing. Some I've seen make it. They shred it, so then it becomes like how do I put it, like beef tacos, like shredded beef tacos kind of thing. So there's different ways that you do it, but the core ingredients need to be there.
I understand.
And then like you'll notice when you go to recipe after recipe after recipe, you'll see the variations, but you'll see certain things have to be there, or else it won't be there at all.
Okay.
I've seen some people put like
I get what you're
you,
saying.
you see what
I
I'm
get
saying?
what you're
So some people may add like jalapeno in there,
Mhm.
and I look at that, I'm like, sure, like, but it doesn't need to be in there.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people put like some herbs on there. I don't typically see that,
Love an
but
herb.
it just adds on.
Yeah.
But like it's still a chicken adobo. But if you take, like I said, if you take out the vinegar,
I get what
the
you're
element, it's no longer it.
saying. I get what you're
For
saying.
example, with love, let's say it's a recipe. We all are exposed to love and have ideas of Disney, have ideas of what it could be.
I get what you're
But I
saying.
think there's a certain core recipe that we could all sort of agree on, and our just this panel right now agree ourselves. We said what? Resiliency.
Yeah.
We said trust,
Consistency.
consistency, right? What else? What would you add in that? What's necessary to be in that ingredient?
It's not a singular adjective, but I would say putting in an extra 10%, extra 20% in your
Effort?
relationship. Yeah.
Effort?
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is like, I'm just thinking about this is making me laugh. So, this is a side note, but it's kind of relates, maybe. I made soup for the first time. Well, it was actually my second time making soup
Nice.
ever.
Mhm.
And my friend gave me a recipe because I was nervous about it, because I only mainly cook on like a high flame.
Yeah.
And she gave me a recipe that's for 7 people.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, well, I could just think about the portions on my own. I downsized everything, but then I had like this chipotle and adobo sauce, and I never had that before. And I smelled it, and I was like, this seems like it's gonna taste really good. And I put the whole can
God.
when the 7 people thing required the whole can, but I'm only doing it for one person. It burned my lips to eat that soup. I couldn't for the life of me. It's like really representative of my love life. Yeah. I don't think I'm getting the recipe right now. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that. But I think it's a good.
Yeah, and if you're the one cooking it, it could really affect what the recipe looks like.
Probably listen to the recipe a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, well, like you said, going back to the thing is resiliency, trust. For example, can you have care and trust and not have passion or attraction to the person?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's called a friend.
That's called a friend. There you go.
Yeah, I was about
There
to
you
say,
go.
I'm
Wait, what
overthinking
happened?
this
It's
right
called a
now.
friend.
It's called a friend.
It's called a friend.
It's called a friend.
Because I don't, with my friends, like I have care and trust, but I don't have passion for
That
John.
is- That was actually a little bit of a
Or
learning lesson
we still
for me
don't know
too.
yet. It's still,
We are
a
still
question
exploring
of
each other.
time.
so-
Yeah.
You have been staying here a couple nights.
That's right. That's right.
Aren't you
Building,
staying here
it's
tonight
building.
as well?
I am, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Emotional attraction slips in. You guys will never know.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, I think when I was originally looking for relationships, I was seeking safety so much that I didn't look for attraction because I, again, didn't really believe in true love. at the time, so I think I did pursue a friend thinking that it would work, and it definitely did not, because I was not attracted to that person. And so that was like a little bit of a learning lesson to me. I was like, okay, like I think I do need attraction. And when I wasn't attracted to them, I had this like total like identity crisis, like, oh my gosh, am I asexual or something? And I was like, oh, I just was not with the right person, I think.
Is that like a common thing nowadays? Because like that's what like my girlfriend said. It's like I felt like I had no attraction whatsoever.
Yeah, that's true.
And I hear that from a lot of girls like now, like our generation.
Maybe guys are just getting uglier. Just kidding.
I mean, I think guys are just getting more like timid.
Another
it's a good question because like I think for me what it was is that like media told me that it was like you kind of feel attracted and you have like, you know, a quick fling immediately and then the sparks die out, but they don't really show the sparks dying out. And we also have like a culture right now that's like very like hoe culture, you know, like and I think I have my own beefs with that, but I think it like made you feel wrong if you don't feel the attraction, when some people I think some people can feel attraction to a lot of people, and other people need emotional connection behind it. Some people need a right person to feel attracted to. And when you're in this culture where everyone's like, you know, it's like a lot more freedom, which I think is good. But it didn't leave room for the people that don't feel that same way. Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people that feel both ways. Like some people feel like, oh, I'm attracted to a lot of people, and other people feel like I'm attracted to a few people. So, and we also have this pressure to label ourselves very quickly. And I definitely was like, oh my God, I'm going to just label myself like this. But I just had to find the right person. And I don't know. It's just like people are just pushed too young, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. No shame in any game.
No, I was just gonna say, I definitely feel like social media does not do our, you know, cohabitants any justice. You know, I could not figure out a word to say, but yeah, you just go on.
Like young men?
You know,
like,
you mean women?
Yeah.
Wait, who are you talking about?
I think he's referring to like the young men of the world. When you're saying cohabitants.
Cohabitants, young men, not.
And
young
the reason I knew that,
Okay.
the reason I knew,
I did not get that.
The reason I knew that.
What's he talking about?
I'm a guy, and I'm like,
the reason.
Oh my God,
why did you get it?
The reason I knew was because earlier he was like, I said something along the lines of like, I think maybe the reason girls aren't attracted to guys now is because like, you know, men are very. I think a lot of guys are timid now, and like I don't know. I see a lot of girls like actually like outwardly putting there that like the guy needs to be more like assertive, and like it's more and more of a request, and just even in any relationship, like I think someone has to take the direction, and someone, you know, is typically more unsubmissified. You know, and so like in general, just guys maybe have just kind of declined in their assertiveness. You know, and that's could be why some of the attraction is falling, you know, but that's how I knew he was referencing that, because he like nodded his head and agreed.
I don't know if it's like, falling though. It's more of like it could be falling, but also our society is kind of showcasing like a certain type of person, and then if someone doesn't meet that person, then we maybe have a skewed view that it's falling. Like that, so that you're comparing the attraction to someone that's attracted to a lot of people, and you said like, oh, you had another friend that, or your girlfriend, and thought that she was asexual too. Well, maybe that was like, I think before the narrative was like, oh.
Your last words were before the narrative.
Before the narrative.
Yeah, we can animate this, so keep going.
Before the narrative, it was like kind of
Wait.
Okay.
It was kind of this like message of, oh, I hate saying this word, like message of
chastity.
Before the narrative, after our time. 3, 2, 1.
Before the narrative was kind of this message, and I hate saying this word,
It's
but
perfect.
like chastity, and that was like more acceptable. It was to be like, so you don't really like someone until you like someone, you know. And now it's more of like, oh, now you're comparing someone to someone that does like everyone all the time, you know. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense in my head. I lost it.
No, you're good. And I think what you guys are describing segues exactly into what I was going to mention about the ingredients, because it's not just ingredients, because there's also cooking the recipe. If you ever cooked before, doing certain things out of order, or treating every ingredient must be treated differently. It must be cut differently. It must be cooked differently. They have served different functions. For example, for example, trust is a big one that should be in love, right? Can you trust someone like unconditionally? Can you trust someone without any prior like reasons to trust them?
I've done that. I think it's dangerous. It's a dangerous game.
But see, you said it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Like to just blindly trust someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
For
dangerous.
example,
I think
does
it's
a
also
bank
dangerous
trust you?
not to
I feel
sometimes.
like that's how a lot of things start out until you show them you can be trusted.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the same way, do you think the bank will trust you $1 million, like complete stranger to them?
If your credit score is high enough.
Well, see, you have to build a credit
Yeah.
score, right?
The track record.
It's a track record. It's a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Is trust needs to be built.
Yeah.
Like I actually think that people, like you said, it's dangerous. I think people shouldn't treat trust as if it just should be blindly out there. It's something. It's like a debt that has to keep being paid, and is like I don't just trust you because you're my girlfriend. It's because I've seen you in situations where I could have challenged our trust,
Right.
and we overcame it.
Right.
And that's
Oh,
and
that's so
that's
beautiful.
trust,
Mhm.
right? And it gets built over time. That becomes once you keep going into those situations that are hard, or the situations where maybe you feel jealous and those natural things because you care. You can like honestly say that you trust them because we've been here before,
Right.
and I know like who my girl is,
Right.
or who my guy is. Yeah.
And I would also actually argue that I don't know that people actually can. I mean, maybe they can for very like special, I suppose. But I don't actually think people can trust unconditionally immediately to a stranger, for the reason that like let's use the example of like a dark alleyway, right? And you're like walking down the dark alleyway. It's like 1 a.m. There's a stranger coming at you. Could you trust that stranger unconditionally? And I would say most people would say no, and for the reason that like whether you realize it or not, there's context in that situation. Someone's out late at night, alone.
Yeah.
You're alone. Your level of trust has already been influenced.
Yeah.
And so how much more can you say, like, if let's say you're introduced to a new friend, a new stranger, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe like you met Quran today, right? Like someone could say, oh, like, could you have unconditional trust for Quran? Well, I've introduced you and you have you've met me, you know me, and you know that I know John and John knows Quran and we trust him.
Oh,
So like there's already, there's like
Mhm.
contextual
Makes so much
trust.
sense.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
I think even when people say like, oh, like I unconditionally trust this person, I would argue there's things playing at factor that you
For
don't actually
sure.
consider.
Yeah,
sure.
And like you
Are
said,
playing
like,
into trust.
so there's,
sure.
there's trust built over time, but there's also foundational trust that I think is established just by nature of relationships and also
yeah.
just by nature of context. Like I would not trust a random guy at 3 a.m. in the morning, like in an alleyway, like,
Yeah.
it's
know,
already established it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and he has to earn that now, But
Or-
anyways,
Or
sorry
like
to-
no, you're good. That was actually really good. In relationships or friendships where somebody like comes on too quick, like they think you're really close.
Yeah.
You're gonna be like, oh, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So like we have a trust that's built because there's this idea of risk.
Yeah.
But that's the condition that ingredient trust can grow. Is how do you trust a friend who you've been able to tell on a friendship level. You trust a friend who you've been able to tell secrets, and know that they're not going to tell it to somebody else. The moment you tell somebody a secret and they tell it to someone else, that trust is immediately gone. And it's the idea of trust is built over a long time but falls apart really quick. And so that's just one ingredient. And it's one of the core ingredients I would say is of love. All right, you see where this is all going?
No. I didn't. I just thought you said a really good line, which was like,
No.
trust is like
Alright.
built up for a long time, but then it can fall apart really quickly.
Yeah.
Very fast.
That shit scares me, I think. the
Yeah, and that's
most.
why consistency plays into it. And I would say that falls under trust is the consistency.
Yeah.
Is it could be built and grow, but it can easily just be chopped off.
Yeah.
So, and the longer and more consistent it grows, the stronger it actually is.
Exactly. Yeah.
But now that it's just trust, what about like?
Well, before that, I would ask,
yeah.
like, is there anyone here at the table that would disagree with the idea that trust is like a foundation? Because I think what we're trying to establish now is not like necessarily a recipe for everybody, but can we all like have this discussion and understand like, oh, like we can recognize trust as a foundational piece, like,
A core
because without,
ingredient.
and then we might get guests on here that disagree, but out of curiosity, like, does everybody here in general like think that trust is a core? Like you can't have that's
No,
where we're going,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Is,
that's where we're going.
can
sure.
you have love
You got it.
without trust? Like, without it.
Yeah,
I think you could. Oh,
Go ahead.
I think you could like love someone that broke your trust, but then that's not true love together. Like you could still love that person and maybe they could still love you, but now you have a broken relationship. But I also have seen like people like rebuild trust. So like after it was broken. So I don't know about it like being totally severed. Yeah.
That's an interesting word choice to use. And me and John actually talked about this before, like the idea of like when I thought my mom broke my trust, like severed it, you know, and I would be like, I hate you. Right. But obviously in the week after, the month after, like we clearly rebuild it. Right. Or like she apologizes and it's back. And what he pointed out to me was like, he would argue like, well, that trust in itself wasn't actually severed or broken. You didn't actually lose the trust. I still trusted my mom. I just, you know, I felt at that time that I was very frustrated, angry, whatever you want to call it. But the trust wasn't actually broken. If trust was broken, I would have probably left the house, right? It's the idea that I no longer feel safe with my mom because the trust is actually gone. So a better word that, you know, we kind of came to the conclusion of is like, it's not that our trust was broken. My trust in my mom was broken. It was that it was challenged. It was greatly challenged. And you can experience, you know, great challenges, you know, in love, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're severed. And that kind of alludes to the point of, you know,
does moving out really qualify as? I think that's a really good way of phrasing it. But would moving out really be the like quantifier of broken trust? Like you could have felt that your trust was broken, but she mended it. Like it could be it was greatly challenged. And, like luckily she came back. Because I think the person that hurt you is the person that should come back and like mend the trust and like heal your own wound. But I mean, I think greatly challenged is a really good way of saying it. That's true. Like in the long run, that's probably what it is. But I think trust could be broken to you. You could still say that you broke it, but you fixed it. Like, I don't know.
So
maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
I mean, that's the whole like, idea is like, let's ask the question of like, well, I think that's the thing, right? Like I would say like with parents and with family, like, or like in general, like with someone you like have known for a long period of time, I wouldn't say like it's easy to like maybe challenge the trust, but in terms of like when I think of trust severance, it means like you quite literally in no sense of the word could feel safe or comfortable with them because you do not trust them. Like literally you would not turn your back on them. But that's the thing. I would continue to stay in my mom's home. And so I think that's the key differentiator of like, you know, when a child tells their parent like I hate you, right? They clearly feel that they hate you, but does the child really hate you? Like, you know, like hate is a very strong word. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a really strong word. And so if I had a future child and he ever told me he hated me, you know, part of parenthood I would imagine is like, you know, steeling yourself up to recognize your child will eventually probably say that to you. But they don't mean it. You know what I mean? Like there may be a point like they could actually mean it, but it would take a lot to get to that point. You know, it's not like you could just flip on a switch and hate your parent and then turn it off again. At least from what I see, you know? So it's just the idea that like, I think, like John actually was the one that brought up that phrasing is like challenges are going to happen and they're going to be deep challenges. But the actual breaking of trust is like, one, it's actually going to be very painful. And it's not actually common to completely break trust because you have to think like, what could you possibly do to someone to like actually never trust them again? And I would say like, maybe if like, you know, John shot my mom in the head or something. No, sorry, Mom. Sorry, Mom. But, you know, but like, that's like, you know, that's a crazy length, you know, that I would have to imagine that John would actually foundationally break my trust. But anyways, it's the idea that trust can be challenged. It's hard for me to like
cut this out though, but
I just want to say I do think everybody is different and everybody's experiences with trust is different. Like you said, like you know, hypothetically John shooting your mom in the head will get you to break his trust or whatever. Like
maybe it doesn't actually. What if it actually doesn't? What if I do that?
No, but
he
like
still trusts me.
You could mend it.
I could mend it.
Try to take her to the hospital.
It was a great challenge to the trust. But,
great challenge.
Which means there's still more I could do.
But I've seen
get in the more.
Am I just out of it?
Yeah, I think you're out of it.
I've seen a lot of my family members treat each other like, you know, they weren't family, they weren't blood related. You know, I've seen a lot of my friends' dads ruin their credit score before they even in middle school. You know, and I feel like those experiences, damage, I'm sorry, your trust meter or whatever you want to call it, or how you judge, how am I going to trust this person?
Yeah.
So
Like they had their own definition of like what damage trust.
And I feel like everybody
and trust is for you, like your level of trust, like what you trust, and it's the idea of what you trust them with.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think what we're getting at with the challenge idea is that, it goes in line with the idea that trust needs to be built. So it's actually good, I would argue that it's actually good that those challenges come in the same way that baby or that kid says, I hate you, Mom.
Yeah.
And then the parent doesn't take it seriously. And in the same way that, when you have problems in your family, you don't think that we're going to break up because you're a family. You've been built, that trust has been built as a family. That even as bad as the relationship in the family, for example, gets, you still don't even think that this family is going to break up. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's like divorce and stuff like that. But there's an interesting thing to why, let's say a partner said, I hate you. And I would argue it's because that trust hasn't been built over time. I'm not saying that you should say those things, but actually those challenges trust, turn you more into that family dynamic where you guys, and this is where the ingredients work together in tandem and work as a recipe, is because I think that trust needs to be built, but also it needs to work with communication and understanding. In the same way that parent hears the kid say, I hate you, Mom. Well, the parent understands you're a kid. Yeah. Same thing with like brother to brother or brother to sister, it doesn't matter, or daughter to mother. They may say some things, but then, you think about it as, I know what my mom's going through and how she's understanding. Maybe they don't understand like the culture or the situation. It doesn't matter what the argument started, but you will understand your mom or your dad, like in Matt's situation with his mom, like maybe she broke his trust and thing, but then he also knows how his mom is. Yeah.
But we're talking about like true love here, right? Not parental love. I feel like this is so different.
No, I'm using examples with it.
Yeah, okay.
And how these things work together.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the ingredients themselves. And I would say, for example, that's why true trust and communication need to be in there.
For sure.
But then, you can have those things and not have attraction to your family members and all that stuff. So that's why I would say attraction is also a core ingredient, because you could have, true love to an extent with family. Yeah. Right? But obviously you could never extend it. You could never extend it to
No, 100%.
So we've talked about, so trust and then communication. What else? And so would you all agree trust needs to be in there in that recipe? Yeah. And we said attraction, or else you could love your family in a true love way.
For sure.
But okay, what else? What do you think else needs to be there?
That's that effort. I don't know.
Yeah, effort. Yeah, that's a good one.
I think growth mindset, like you're growing together, is a big one too. Yeah. Wait, are you gonna edit this podcast?
Well, I'm gonna try to keep it raw, unless you want me to edit it.
I was gonna say, can you cut this part out that I'm about to say?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna reveal it because it's now on my mind, and if it's on my mind, I have to get it out.
Go ahead.
But I think like.
Okay, question. Just. What if we put it in a Patreon that only is specific?
Like that,
like here are the really.
I think
I don't know. I just want to ask your consent.
100%.
Would you be down for that? Not like
I
live.
I don't think anybody I know
but if you
would
said
pay.
no, obviously I'd respect.
Okay, yeah.
You could put it in Patreon.
Okay.
Nice.
I'll just keep a roll of all the things nobody wanted to hear. The whole
Here are
audience.
secrets.
Okay, that's what I want to ask you. Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the things that made my relationship healthy is understanding her past. She's dealt with infidelities with her parents and divorce and everything. So I understand she needs that extra reassurance. She needs that extra understanding. So and just, when I do certain things that are, unintentional and she reacts a certain way, I understand this is where it stems from. And I have to give her that extra, love and attention. I just want to piggyback. Understanding is definitely a big part of,
Oh, this is like a healing conversation for me, to be honest. I'm like seeing 3 really great guys, and I'm like, wow, there's hope.
Guys, great guys.
Yeah. There's some out there.
Good guys.
Everybody
good
watching.
guys.
There's some good guys watching.
They're out there, but two are taken, but one is not. Two are getting married. So. That's why I like the idea of there's a trust that's broken, and then there's a great challenge to trust.
Yeah.
And I think once it's broken, I think that also gives you the ability to have self-respect for yourself and walk away.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
why having, and like you said, like it's different person to person what you trust with somebody. Like let's say cheating is your broken. Then you could say I could walk away because you broke that trust. You've left me incapable of continuing to grow and foster these conditions, foster these ingredients of love.
Yeah.
You stopped me.
Yeah.
And same thing with like my mom, even though, you know, we've been distant, you know, I kind of, my family's been like all over the place. Like, it's like this whole story. And so even though there's like so much distance and all that kind of stuff, I would say it's a great challenge to trust. Like I've never spent more than like a couple hours with my mother, like my entire life.
Yeah.
And then I went on a whole week trip to Seattle with her. And like, we didn't talk at all because we don't talk.
Yeah.
But just being next to my mom,
Yeah.
I realized how much I trusted her. That goes back to the great challenge, and that I think that can flow into your friendships and your family relationships.
For sure.
Is like those challenges to trust actually make you see like why I want this person around, why I can rely on this person.
Yeah.
But with my dad, you know, I don't have to hear what people say. Oh, that's your father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather have none. kind of thing. I don't care. Like, and that's more about self-respect and my own growth. And I think that gives somebody the like ability to sever off ties without feeling like bad.
Yeah.
Without feeling that they feel responsible to it.
Yeah. And I think actually the human language like reflects it, right? When people often say like they broke up, it's because something snapped. It's the idea that it's irreparable, or it's not, you cannot repair it because it snapped. And then there's the idea of like, you know, we're testing the limits, or the idea of like, you know, we're kind of pushing things. Like it's the idea there's strain, and that's another common thing in the English language is strain or stress, right? But once someone actually usually tells you like it snapped, like that's usually when I've talked to friends and I know that they're never going back to that person again. And it's because the idea that like, regardless of whether my idea of like my trust threshold is different, you know, from John's or yours or whatever, I know when my trust is severed. I know.
Yeah.
And you know, and so that's the idea, is that like it's once you've reached that severance and that it's snapped, it's gone. And that's why I would say like I don't think I would ever, you know, I might say that something has you know, like, oh, this is awful, I hate this person, but you know, I think there is a real distinction in the human language, and it's why we've evolved to kind of say like something snapped, something broke, something, you know, versus the language we use when we end up getting back with somebody is like, oh, like they changed, or like they, you know, things stressed us out, right? And then you see you get back, right? And so, I think humans have actually evolved naturally without us realizing, like, to say like it's broken, it's snapped, it's gone. Whether we realize it or not, I think we actually have that distinction, and we're capable of making it.
Yeah, and everybody watching and listening on the conversation, I feel like that's the biggest thing you tapped in on, is knowing yourself, knowing how much you trust or how much you can trust people, or when your trust has been broken. And I feel like just knowing yourself can keep things as simple as possible.
And to go a step further, it's knowing yourself and actually holding yourself accountable.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, well, once you have that information that you know this person has actually severed your trust, well, what are you going to do with that information?
Exactly.
Right. Or if like,
it's true.
You know, and so, I think the way I usually look at it is like, if I had a child, or if I had like a little baby girl, and like she came up to me and said like, hey dad, like this person did this to me. And I would say like, well, you need to get away. Like you need to leave.
Aww.
Like, well, like, you know, dependent,
as you should.
right. And it's like, well, if I'm comfortable telling that to my daughter, like, why am I not comfortable telling that to myself? If I'm putting myself in these situations that I wouldn't let my daughter in, like,
are we still on Patreon?
Like, no, I think we're at, I think we're at a pace of regular.
I thought about it too when we came back in. Was probably like halfway through what I was saying. So, because I was like, the part where I stopped talking about that stuff, and then I think around there. But obviously after that.
I was gonna say like kudos to you though, because like I feel like you're 29, which is still super young to heal from all of that.
I'm also Asian, you know. So.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I took it as looking young.
Yeah, you look young too.
I guess you meant it more in the
29.
I think you meant it more as like, okay, I got it.
No, I was gonna say it's like
that was for Patreon.
Let's throw that in Patreon.
I I was gonna say that, like, honestly, kudos to you, because I feel like healing from what your parental situation at just the age of 29 is, and to have a healthy relationship, I'm like very impressed. Like it probably took a lot on you to like learn how to, survive on your own. So that's respect for that.
No, seriously, thank you for that. Because and that's the whole reason why I wanted this to be like our first topic, because like I mentioned with my other relationships and, maybe situationships between kind of thing, like in my very last relationship, like we had all those conditions, I would say. We had everything except for a couple things. And you can get away and you can be for example, you can be in a marriage and not have attraction and not have all those other things. Yeah. And that's why people have terrible marriages. That's why the ingredient, the recipe matters, is to work to get all those conditions. Because even though I had so much good, and there was not necessarily like glaring problems, like I still always wanted to seek out true love, and it was worth it to me to seek that out. And even though it was a 5-year relationship, most people would say, like I remember talking to a friend of mine. I hadn't heard from him in a while. I went to visit him, and obviously he knows that we broke up because he also knew her as well. And he was like, "You seem okay." And I was like, "Yeah, what of it?" And then he was like, "Well, you were together for 5 years. How are you feeling?" I'm like, "Well, I don't think I would have left the relationship if I wasn't sure. If I hadn't already thought about all the things, but I knew for sure that I couldn't find that true love. And so I'm going to keep seeking it." And I think that's also that's also a big part to why we're talking about this, is because I think people will get some ingredients without the others, and then get married, and then just feel stuck.
Yeah, for sure.
Like what you said about capacity, I'd say the capacity to love, and the way we describe it, when you say I have the capacity to have true love for somebody, or I have the capacity to love someone.
Damn.
That was deep.
Yeah, I wonder what it is. I think maybe we need maybe what it is. You know what it is? Maybe it needs to be the dummy battery, and that's why. Like maybe it's like a power thing. Yeah, and thankfully, I think we're in the closing segment, so now we can.
Yeah, we're in the closing. Everybody take a break. I was getting good. I was like in my.
You were in your flow state.
Yeah, I know you were nervous before, but how's the conversation?
You guys are so comfortable. Like you guys are like really like. I feel like I've been around a lot of emotionally unavailable guys lately, and like none of them talk like in deep conversations. Like the second I get into it, they're like very uncomfortable. So you guys are just like super open to it, which I think makes me open to it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. I know you were like a little nervous.
I was so nervous.
But I think that's kind of like the vibe we want to make sure that we have, is that like when people come on, like, I mean, I've seen, like, we've been talking and we've seen so many like of these guy podcasts where like they'll talk about body count and just like absolutely shame or like wreck the girl on camera, and it's like, but it's like that's not what we're trying to do. It's the idea of like just continue asking questions, allowing everyone the space to speak, come into those conclusions.
And I think it worked. They're trying to solve a problem, but they're actually worsening the problem.
This podcast is also, I feel like, pretty healing for anyone that's in a bad place too. So I think you're still staying true to what you want to do. Like in general, you want to help people who that they couldn't help themselves because you had to help yourself. That's huge. Yeah. I think that's why I do what I like to do too. Just in general.
So what I was saying before the camera cut off. I think the reason how we came to this conclusion, me and Matt, through these questions of why it has to be a recipe and why certain ingredients have to be necessary, is because one example I use is one of my best friends. He was in a relationship also for 5 years, almost like going right alongside me. And he was actually closer than I was. He actually was getting the ring. They got a place together. And I can't imagine that, because I actually just got the ring is on its way, is how I put it. And he was exactly where I am, but that's not where I was in my last relationship. So he was like further along. They had like cats together and all that stuff. And I'm only here now with the relationship I'm in now, right? And then she goes to a new place, like, or she's at the place they have together. He's still working back where they used to live. And so now it's long distance. And then she goes and says, or he goes and finds out that she cheated on him. And like the way he finds out is the worst, is because like she works, ironic. I don't want to say how she works. I don't want to put anyone too much on blast, but like she's like working down over there, and she's working like multiple hours. To which, you know, he comes home and he's waiting for her to get off work. He notices she left her laptop and it's open. And and there's no password on it, I think, or either that or he knows the password. It doesn't matter. And then he's waiting a couple hours. And he's also thought it was fishy because she had this friendship with this guy, like one of her colleagues. You know, they'd be texting after work. They'd go to like things after. They would like have lunches together. And you know, the communications kept going after work. And so then he checks her laptop, checks her location, and then she's definitely not at work. And what's crazy is he's watching her in real time because he's asking, he's like, can we eat together? He said, can we eat together as a family? And then she's at a restaurant with a guy.
Just lying.
Oh God.
She goes to like a beach, a place that he's been wanting to go with her and take her. She like goes shopping, and the texts he's getting back from her are like, what did she say? She said like,
I'm gonna be a little later at work.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a little bit later. She's talking about how her boss is like being like awful to her, and then like talking about like, oh, you know how it is, like talking. And something that really hit me was how normal she could talk to him and still do that thing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: is a lot of people want to say love is just a feeling and all these kind of things, but the thing is, when that was happening, he came to me, and understand, like, we hadn't talked for a while. He came to me and he told me the whole entire situation, and then he goes and confronts her and all that kind of stuff. It's really bad, and she even admits it. And he even asked like, when did this happen? Where did it happen? She started telling him details. He's like, I don't want to hear anymore, and then he leaves. And then he's like sobbing, he's crying, he's going through a really rough time. And I told him, you text me and I'll be there for you, all that kind of stuff. So I'm right there alongside him, like hearing this in real time. And I tell him that, the guy she's cheating on you with is a much lesser guy than you. And once this attraction thing goes away, she's going to realize what she lost. Not even like a week goes by. She sends him a text and says, that like an entire paragraph, those kind of things, saying like, I miss you, I love you, I didn't know what I had, I made a mistake, you can hate me for the rest of my life, our life, and I'll continue for the rest of my life to make it up to you.
It's too late, baby.
And you know what the thing is, and I can feel for the guy, because that was also his first relationship.
It's always hard.
Like I have more understanding and experience because I've been in multiple relationships, but this guy, like, he kind of had it. Like no prior relationships, no hurt, no whatever.
Yeah.
And he was right there to marriage with the ring.
Oh my gosh.
Right? It was like almost perfect. And they were like the best friend relationships. And I actually liked the girl, But then hearing this, like, he goes and says, that she's texting me this thing, and I told him, one, don't ever reply to her back. And the one thing that got him through it in all the conversations, and I think the thing that really flipped this thing, is that I could say without a doubt, she does not love you. You love her, but she does not love you. Because somebody who loves you can't cheat on you.
Yeah.
By definition. Again, it's a recipe. And for example, the trust part, all those kind of things, all those things work together.
100%, yeah.
When all those things are working together, you're committed and you have all these kind of things, you can honestly say, even though you don't have the exact definition, you can honestly say, it is impossible if you love me to cheat on me.
Ooh, yeah.
It is impossible for you to do these things to me.
For sure.
You can have challenges, maybe maybe I'll say like, oh, not a white lie, but I'll say something that I bended. Like my girlfriend would call me out on that. She's like, no, just say it for real. I'm like, okay, fine, I won't do that again.
Right.
And that's communication. But for someone to do that to you and know they're hurting you, cognitionally, I don't know if that's the word.
Cognizantly. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, yeah.
There's no way I can ever believe that person loved you.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. The statement she said was, I didn't know what I had. Well, here's another thing about the ingredients. How can you love someone who you just said you don't know?
Yeah.
No, the thing is, it should be, I love you because I know you. I'm with you because I trust you. I'm with you because I understand you. That tells me, when the moment she says a statement like that, is that she looked at him for security, she looked at him for comfort, she looked at him for friendship, companionship, but was not maybe attracted to him, maybe wasn't dependent on him, maybe wasn't, you know, respecting him. There's no way she could respect him if she would do something like that. So she fostered a couple of those ingredients. You know, she's doing the recipe, and she's missing out on core ingredients that makes it that. And that's why I can honestly say to him, it's not true love. And that's what made him have self-respect for himself. Because here's the thing. The moment he saw those texts, she's sending him pictures of the cat they got together. She's sending him, like, all the things to get him back.
Oh, God.
And he tells, and I understand him as someone who's been cheating on myself. I understand him in where he told me, he's like, but I want to go back. I miss her. I'm like, but the thing is, there's nothing wrong on your part.
Yeah.
Because you love her.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong on your part. But understand that the person you love that you thought loved you back doesn't exist.
Oh.
Doesn't exist. She never loved you at all.
Yeah.
And that's why I'd say, you know, like, we've taken a lot of time and I don't want to take it too long, but I'd say that's why, like you were talking about, like the dating culture and stuff. I think because of dating apps, it beelines for attraction. And I would say all those ingredients want to grow. Respect wants to grow, trust wants to grow, but so does attraction.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you just beeline for attraction, it'll grow and hit a peak, and you'll never have fostered the others. And that's why I think it's important to, you know, start relationships on a more personal level, on a friendship level. And oftentimes that leads to friend zones. I get that. But if you're looking for true love and you're just starting with sex, starting with attraction, starting with these things, you're actually you're doing the exact opposite of what it would be if you're trying to seek true love. If your goal is sex, okay, then easy. But if your goal is true love, you have to have an entirely different strategy in how you approach it to foster those conditions for that person, and also to see if that person has capacity for you. I think he was ready to be committed and didn't even realize that the person in front of him didn't have respect for him. Didn't even realize the person in front of him didn't understand him. And I can relate to that. Like I said, in my own 5-year relationship, there was nothing really bad, you know, like she didn't do anything, but I realized, and I'm being honest, you know, I wasn't all that attracted to her. And on my end. And I also realized that she didn't understand me. Like, I was in a very dark place, and I, you know, wanted to give her, you know, this moment to, like, try to be vulnerable with her, because I usually wouldn't ever be vulnerable with her. And that's also a telltale sign, is the fact that I can't be vulnerable with her tells her that I can't have the capacity for her. Maybe she has the capacity for me, but I don't for her. I can't put these other ingredients in the recipe, which are essential. But it's because knowing that the recipe is all the things you guys said, resiliency, trust, you know, attraction, all those sort of things. And I would also say loyalty and commitment also need to also be there. Is without all those things, it can't be love. And I think just like my friend who got cheated on, is by knowing what it is, you can also say what it's not. And so you can be in a relationship, like with maybe you're on dating app, you meet a guy and you immediately notice that all he's looking for is attraction, is all he's looking for is this. He's not trying to get to know me as a person. Well, here's the thing is, it'll never be true love, because he's not looking for those in you.
Quality,
Do you want to? Well, that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, I could keep going.
Wow.
No.
That was good.
That was the whole point. The better questions, obviously, there's more to it, but I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
No, I mean, were we just closing or?
Yeah, we're kind of closing. I mean,
Okay.
if there's any final questions, and then we'll get to just final thoughts.
final remarks.
Yeah, I was gonna say we
yeah.
should just go to
No,
final
yeah,
remarks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So thank you guys for being on the very first podcast of Better Questions podcast.
So honored to be here.
You should be. I'm scared. I'm honored that, you know,
I'm honored to be
You're
here.
right.
Too.
I'm blessed.
All of you guys.
I'm
You guys
honored.
were great.
I'm thankful that you guys were on the first podcast. Matt could see me all day. I was so nervous. I was so stressed. I always get nervous whenever I have to be. I mean, I talk up front a lot, but just like whenever I care about something, I get stressed.
Yeah.
You know, because I want to do well.
Wow, do a podcast on stress. That's true.
Well, we're doing kind of like series. Like we're gonna go through a series of people talking about true love. We have another one that's after that, so we're gonna just keep flushing this out with like the same format, similar format that we're doing with you guys. But yeah, thank you guys for joining the podcast. Any final remarks, and also just what did you think of the podcast?
My final remarks would be I would suggest men to change their definition of what attraction is and what attracts you to women. And I would also say to men, women, and those who are non-binary is that don't settle, you know. If there's something you're not okay with, then exit the situation. Or if there's something you want to change, speak up for yourself. I feel like things are overly complicated nowadays.
Good message.
Good.
I have no message for listeners, but I was just going to say, because I don't know what to say.
No,
but the podcast, I think, was an incredible experience. I think it came at the right time for me. Like, I think I really needed this. And I honestly am genuinely looking forward to listening to future episodes. Because I think it'll just help me in my journey. It's like I'm just starting out. So it's like, I think this is going to be a really good podcast, you guys. Good job.
Nice.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Hope to
And
be
as a
back.
personal request, maybe get like a episode about define the relationship, because I feel like a lot of people have trouble with that. There's too many situationships out
yeah, like
there.
focus more
Yeah.
a little bit on
Yeah,
that.
I like that.
yeah, because there's that. I feel like that's a huge issue, not just for me, but like a lot of my friends are in too. It'd be so cool if you guys did that too.
Which is why we shouldn't have a format. You know what I mean?
No, I love the format. I love it.
No,
I
but
love
see,
it.
there was a flow. We had, we had
good
a
flow.
direction. Didn't linger too long.
Don't listen to him.
No,
Okay,
no.
you're doing great.
This is a great
We rein in each
experience.
other. You know? That's why I think it's good
Yeah.
to have a.
It's good. It's good.
Dynamic.
Um,
Dynamic. But yeah.
But for real, like, this is a really, really awesome podcast, and I'm so lucky to be here and to be friends with you guys. So yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Nice.
And thanks for making it feel safe, because
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to be vulnerable, and it takes the right people to like create a safe environment. And you all were really open, and it made me feel comfortable. So I appreciate that. Yeah. I was really nervous before too. I was like, ooh, I don't know if I could do this. I told Matt too. I texted him. I was like, yeah, I might just observe.
Yeah, she wanted us to do a vibe check first to see if she could handle it.
Yeah.
I did.
I strategically did not respond to that, so that you
So
could.
rude.
Well, I wanted to give you a chance to see what it was like, and then
Yeah.
from there, obviously, if you were like, I just cannot even function, of course, like we would never hold you here, but but at least you got the chance to see what the vibe was before you.
Glad I
know,
did. Glad I
so,
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
love that.
And just came to my mind. Last question: do you guys feel like you have a better understanding of true love, and also, do you think it's more easier achievable for yourself now to seek out?
That was a heavy last question.
Is that really? I kind of felt like it was like a yes no, or sort of.
I would say, yeah. I definitely question myself a lot during the podcast, honestly, because, like I said, I've only seen one successful relationship or marriage, but you guys definitely question, my relationship and, true love, and I feel like that's the same way with your faith, your religion, or your love with anything, So, yeah, I love this experience. I appreciate you guys a lot.
Yeah.
Can you repeat the question?
Oh yeah. Do you feel like you have a better understanding of true love through the course of this podcast, as well as do you think it's more, now that it's more understandable, is it more maybe easy not the good word, but is it more achievable? Because a lot of the issue or why we did this is because oftentimes people think like the Disney love and all that kind of fantasy love, and then they just think it may be possible, but it's highly improbable. But in doing this, there's a framework and there's things to look out for that I think can make it easier for somebody to look for it. It may not make it easier, in fostering it with somebody, but at least they have a better understanding of what they're looking for.
I think, yeah. Short answer, yes. I think this gave me a way better understanding of love. At the same time, I think the second question, did it make it easier? I think that's a loaded question for me, because it taught me that I have to really let go of someone, and that's going to be hard. So I don't know if it's going to be easy. But a really great thing I think also was that you guys are just really good good guys, and I feel like it's not always super easy to see that many good people around. So I think just not only the podcast, but who you guys are itself helped me feel like there's a little bit more hope in love. So I feel like that, I don't know if that answered it, but
No.
there you go.
That was good.
Yeah.
Both really good words.
Remind what was the question again?
I was worried to let you know.
What was the question again? I know, right?
Wait, what was the actual question again?
Yeah,
How did you frame it?
Oh, I framed it as through the course of this podcast, do you feel like you understand true love better? And do you feel like it's more in your grasp now?
More in your grasp.
reiterating.
I see.
I guess I'm more hopeful.
Yeah.
I would,
Which
okay,
is
maybe
more within my grasp,
Yeah.
for sure.
I would say maybe like a better question would be like not necessarily more like in your grasp, but I would say like, do you think that you have the tools to like how do I say this actually? Like it's not like it's more within your grasp because I think like, you know, situationally, like sure I think the fundamental difference here is the framework. It's the idea that like honestly right now I would say like regardless of how this conversation went, it's not more in my grasp for the reason that I'm in a different kind of stage of life where I'm very focused on work. I am absolutely not looking for things right now. So I would say like, by nature, I'm putting myself a little bit out of grasp right now. But as far as did this podcast or this conversation did it arm me with the right questions and tools to think about things and to hold myself accountable? I would say like, yes. And I'd say that's the more important thing is that it's essentially giving me the tools that I need to continually challenge and hold myself accountable to continue to get there. Because if you're not holding yourself accountable, if you're not continuing to ask yourself the question of like, am I following down this path of like true love, then, you know, you're not going to get there if you're not continuing to challenge yourself on like these thoughts, you know? So I would say like, we could reword the question, but I think it's like the idea of like fundamentally, like, do you think you have a better toolkit now to help shape a more fundamental understanding of true love?
I'd so answer that. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The other
That
one
was a better
within my
question.
grasp. Within my grasp, I think also made me think that I need time for myself. So it didn't feel within my grasp. I was like, no, I need to be alone for a little while again. But the tools, like trust and understanding, like embarrassed to say, that weren't really high on my thing. I was like, maybe it's something that I could compromise on if they break my trust and if they break my understanding, if they don't seek to understand. And now I'm like, ooh, those are going to be real top two now. And that's going to change.
Yeah.
That's
and I think
a better tool.
Yeah. And I think one of the fundamental takeaways too is like, what you'll recognize is that as you probably will have more conversations with people about the idea of true love, and like it may come up naturally, it may come up as just curiosity. But I think like one of the main takeaways is the idea that like, I think as you have these conversations with people, you'll start to realize like these ideas are strengthened. So like, I mean, John's probably a good testament to this, but like in every conversation I've had, I would find it very hard pressed for someone to tell me that you can love someone and cheat on them. Right. And like the more, and like you kind of see a theme, like the more that you recognize that like people just fundamentally cannot imagine a world where like you care for someone, but you disrespect them, right? Or like it becomes clear like how things are related, and like it's kind of proven over time. And so, you know, it's like this idea of like we're continuing to work towards a better definition, a better understanding, but some of the concepts that we've laid out today are going to be continually proven over time, and that's what continues to strengthen like our definition of it, and continue to evolve it. You know, like. I don't know, you would never catch me saying like I have the end all be all definition of love, but you would always catch me saying like it can always be improved, provided we're continuing to see that, you know, proven out over time. With that, I don't know what else to say, but I think that's kind of like the fundamental takeaway that I've noticed as well is like I've either been strengthened or, you know, something's kind of fallen away. Like, you know, maybe before I thought that love was purely or I didn't need attraction, right? That actually quickly fell away. I actually, before this podcast, before I was talking to John, we got into it, I actually did not think attraction was a critical part of love.
So you're the same as me.
Yeah, I didn't think it was necessary. But then like through just like, I mean, through experience and through just continual conversation, like I was like, well, I really could not picture a scenario in which I hate to say it, but like I thought my partner was ugly. Like, absolutely, like, and here's the thing. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I know I'm getting off track. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, right? But if me personally, I thought someone was butt ugly, right? Like, I just couldn't see myself dating. You know what I mean? They might be beautiful to someone else. I'm going off track, but it's the idea of like my definition had a recipe initially. The more conversations I have, it gets proven or disproven over time, and I think that's a testament to like the idea that like, you know, love is that recipe. not to circle back from ugly to that, but you know, so
I highly agree.
Yeah.
I'm actually under the opinion in a relationship, if you deem your partner ugly in your head, you'll find it very difficult to respect them.
As a guy.
I'm
I
only
guess
speaking
as
as
a
a guy.
woman
I'm only
too.
speaking
Yeah.
as a guy.
I'm sorry. Okay, let's give a good example.
Hold
right?
on,
Let's
guys.
Imagine.
Wait. All right,
Let you
Let's
go with your
do it.
example.
We're
Yeah,
supposed to end.
Okay, one last
We were
question.
closing.
One last question. One last question.
I just brought up like.
One last question. Natasha.
Stop that. I want
Let's
some
say,
K barbecue.
let's say, right? There's this perfect guy, but he looks.
I'm so
I'm sorry,
hungry.
but he looked like Danny DeVito, right?
Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito. You know what I'm talking about? Danny DeVito.
The short guy?
Yeah, Danny
Short
DeVito.
king.
Sure. Actually, who's the ugliest person you've ever seen? Like
Oh,
celebrity wise. It's probably
Aw.
Is he
who's
really that ugly?
yeah. Who's the director of
But I think
Kill
you're
Bill?
right.
Like a
like,
nice man
since-
kind of look.
Who's the ugly? Who's the Kill Bill guy? What's the director?
Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino. That guy's ugly, man. Okay. Anyways, the point being, like,
I think you're right.
you know, regardless
I
of how
agree.
perfect he is,
Yeah.
I think like
Yeah.
if you were to look at him, like, you just couldn't like. I feel like
No,
we
I
were
wouldn't
talking
want to
about
date
this.
someone
No,
that's
my
ugly to
example
me.
is
He started
simply
yelling at you.
That was my example. Is imagine, and the point is you find them
Yeah.
unattractive. Okay, right? I'm not saying they are.
Yeah.
But I'm saying
You.
if you find them unattractive and they are yelling at you, you're gonna find it very hard to take it seriously.
Yeah, I just feel like
It's so true.
Like I definitely find my girlfriend attractive because we get in heated arguments. Because if she wasn't attractive, I would just
Dip.
yeah, I'm out of here. I don't need to
I
hear
think
this.
you probably find her more
are you
attractive like,
talking
in the
about?
heat of it. You're like,
Yeah.
wow, I'm really mad at
Yeah.
you, but I'm
And
really
that's how it
attracted to
builds.
you.
That's how it builds. Yeah, like and especially if she says like a really like good point, I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And I have more respect now.
Nice.
But if she
nice.
was unattractive, I don't think it would have the same effect. You may have a good point,
Yeah.
but I don't think my attraction would grow.
I mean, that's the whole point of like I think friends. You know, like if everybody, you know, I don't
Okay,
know.
guys.
Anyways, we're getting.
All right.
Let's just end it.
All right,
Let's
we'll
just end it.
continue.
Yeah, let's just end it.
Continue
This is over.
to improve and get better. Thank you all for joining Better Questions Podcast. Let's give it up for our guests.
Thank you.
Is Alyssa coming or no?
Dang, bro.
And we'll be posting every Thursday. I've never done this before, but like, comment, and subscribe. All right, see you next week.
Good job.
Time to eat. I'm so sad. That's so exciting.
Yeah. She was like, I got braised short ribs on the
Yeah, we're gonna get Korean barbecue. I mean.